Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Blerd It Out. I'm your host, Adrian Johnson, and on this episode, I wanted to do something a little bit different. As regular and longtime viewers know of this series, usually I do back issues, just stuff dealing with mostly comic books and comic artists. But this episode will deal with a comic book artist, a very popular one, but the medium that this artist worked in for this particular venture will be different than what I normally cover. And I think it'll be a welcome change of pace. The topic of today's show is going to be this: Jim Lee's Uncanny X-Men trading card series from 1992. Now, this particular set of cards here really came at the height of the whole trading card boom. Like I said, about 1992. And I remember as a young kid, I was probably about 11 or 12 at the time, and collecting baseball cards. You really could not get away from baseball cards, any type of sports cards, and then it expanded into all types of trading cards. And historically, just within this time period, you also have to remember that Jim Lee was like mega popular. I mean, just supernova popular. His popularity was just at an all-time high, especially coming off the tails of the launch of the adjectiveless X-Men #1 that he illustrated. The one that sold 8 million copies and had 5 covers, that whole thing. And, so at that time within the industry, and there were a lot of hot artists, at the time. I mean, these guys went on to form Image, obviously, but of them, I really believe that Lee was kind of like the golden one, if you will. And so, they came out with this set, presumably Marvel did, to take advantage of that. And since this was 92, he, Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, and the others were right at the cusp of getting ready to leave to form Image. So I almost take it as, Marvel, really, even though this might have been in the works, well before then, Marvel really saying, let's really take advantage of, Lee's popularity and put this out. And this is a very, very, very memorable set, in the eyes of fans and people like myself who grew up around that time. So let's get into this, all right? So what you notice now is this particular box. Now, I had gotten this about maybe, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I had found an unopened box on eBay for a excellent price, sealed, and everything. And I was feeling a wave of nostalgia, so I went on ahead and I bidded on it, and I won. And when I got the box, I instantly felt like just this wave of nostalgia, like I was saying, because I remember, getting these cards. And the funny thing about these cards is that I was introduced to them initially at middle school. I had just entered middle school in '93, and there were some kids that I found that were trading baseball cards. We would trade, during lunch. And so there was this one kid that had some baseball cards, but as I was flipping through his little mini binder, I saw that he had some X-Men trading cards. And I was like, wow, because I had just started collecting comics at that time, and I didn't know that there were, trading cards of, the characters. And so, I'm up here trading, baseball cards with them, and I just proposed like, hey man, can I would I be able to trade this for a couple of these X-Men cards? And he looked at me funny, the other kid did, but he was like, all right, okay. But eventually, you know, um, that's all I traded him for. And so, there came a point one day where, I came in, like we normally did, and, we opened our binders and we're looking through what we wanted to, see about trading. And I got ready to point at, his remaining X-Men cards. He kind of grabbed my wrist and said, no, no, baseball cards for baseball cards. No more of these X-Men cards. So there ended my my brief flirtation with these cards until I got this set actually. And so what you got here, this is the complete set. This is it right here. Let's see, I believe it is, there's a checklist in here. I believe it's 100 cards if I'm not mistaken. There we go. The checklist, which is actually called Cerebro, which is fitting because Cerebro, is the machine in the X Mansion that knows everything. So here's the checklist. The checklist is 100 cards, including the Cerebro checklist, and it has 5 hologram cards, as you can see here. And that's one of the hallmarks of the period, these hologram cards, just holograms in general, and when I was a kid around that time, definitely amazed, about holograms, man. So these were like really cool, you know what I mean? All right, and then you have the rest of these cards, the other 99 cards. And let's see, number 1 is Beast. Beast is number 1. And number 2, surprisingly, is Wolverine. You would think that Wolverine would be number 1, numero uno. You know what I'm saying? But I guess not. But yeah, getting into actually more about, Lee and these cards at the time. Like I mentioned, at the beginning of the episode, Lee was immensely popular in terms of, just being an artist coming off of that 8 million copy selling X-Men #1, and then even before that, his popularity had really risen, on Uncanny X-Men. He had a great memorable run on Uncanny X-Men before Marvel kind of rewarded him with a new #1, and it's just it was just a great time. And Lee's artwork on these is so exciting. I think by accounts he did not have a lot of time to do these because obviously he's doing the monthly X-Men title now. And then also, they're getting ready to branch off and go and do found image. So he's knocking these things out. But the cool thing about these is that Lee actually drew and inked these cards himself. And that's the thing about Lee. As much as I love, obviously Scott Williams, who is the supreme anchor for Jim Lee. That's the team supreme right there, Lee and Williams. There's something about, Lee actually doing, the artwork himself, because he can actually ink. He can ink himself. Now he's not going to give you the flourishes that like a Scott Williams, might give you, but he can do a good job and get these things knocked out. A lot of these poses that he was doing, they're very good. They're very good. Like he's just putting it down and keeping it going. Putting it down, keeping it going. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's a fantastic card. This Storm, oh man. And the other thing about you know, the artwork on these cards is that, you know, I believe Lee was doing, you know, the cards. He was doing like two images, you know, like he would have two cards, the images for two of the cards on the same piece of board, you know, and he would do like he would do, you know, the two images, and then right above it he would have the image here for the back of the card, the little headshot, you know, and he was doing that all on one piece of board, you know. Um, and when you look at the original art, you can see that he's knocking it out. And even with that, even though, you know, he signed all of these, you know, as far as like him doing it himself, you know, I'm sure, I'm fairly certain that some of the other guys in the studio were helping him, you know. Maybe like even, well, maybe not a Williams, because you would know if Williams, you know, was on here, because it would have that slick, you know, trademark Williams sheen, you know. But I'm sure some of the other guys in within the studio at the time, like, you know, maybe Portasio or whoever was around, you know, their assistant Carl Allstatter, you know, he probably chipped in, was maybe, you know, inking in on the backgrounds or whatnot, you know. Uh, this was actually one of the, you know, speaking about the story before, trading my baseball cards for the X-Men cards. I remember Gambit being one of the first ones that I got, you know, when I was trading for those cards. So yeah, that just got me to remember that, you know. And just so many of these characters were so popular at the time too, like Cable and obviously Gambit, you know. Oh man, what a great time, man. You know, this stuff is so awesome. And you know, some of these characters I have no idea who they are, you know, but they must have obviously played some role within the books at the time. Like Kylan, huh? What? What? Who? Okay. Um, but yeah, all of the major characters that were in the books at the time across the X-Men universe are definitely represented here. You know, man, man, this is great. Man, look at this. Mm, man, cool stuff. Wow. You know, and it has to be mentioned too. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well is the contribution of the colorist on these cards, Paul Mounts. Paul Mounts, it was a longtime colorist who was working, I believe, on the X Men books at the time. You know, and when you look at those colors in there, you know, they're very poppy, especially late in the Uncanny X-Men run by Lee. You know, it's a lot more, you know, just the colors are very hot. You know what I mean? And I can see why Mounts was chosen to, you know, work on these cards, because at the small size, the cards have to pop. You know, and so the colors help a big role. They have a very big role in making that possible, you know. And man, okay, like take for instance here this Quicksilver card. All right. Now on the Quicksilver card, what would happen is that obviously Lee would draw the thing, and the amounts would come and get a copy or have a copy sent to him of the black and white artwork, except it would be done in what is called a blue line. Now, blue line is the exact copy of the black and white line art, but it's done in a blue line, a non-reproducible blue line. And so this blue line version will be put onto the board that Mounts would, you know, apply his color to. And, you know, you can see that Mounts was using, you know, airbrush, some type of maybe cell acrylic, you know, just anything that you could put down on that particular blue line art version, that would be what would work, you know. So once he finished coloring in on the blue line artwork version, then they had a acetate, which is like a transparent, you know, film, and the black line art would be printed on the acetate. All right, and so what you would do is you would make sure that the registration did. If you've ever seen like the it looks like bars on the side of like original art sometimes, and sometimes they'll print it on like, you know, newspapers or, you know, magazines. You know, if they're, you know, somehow they don't make the cut properly or whatnot, you'll still see some of the registration on there. Just, you know, it's like things on the side just to make sure everything lines up properly for those who are not aware. And so you would take the acetate of the black and white line art, and it's clear, so it's transparent, and you would overlay that atop the blue line. And if they line up correctly, it would look like the black and white line art is now colored, you know, because the colors underneath are showing up through the acetate. And so with that, it's pretty much done, you know. Everything lines up, it's all good to go, you know. So that's how these were done. And I think Mounts did a tremendous job. You know, some of the effects on these cards in the coloring are fantastic. Like on this Rogue card, and if you look back at the Storm card here, there we go. And on this Storm card, man, the cloud effects behind these two are just wonderful. They're so painterly, you know, and so Mounts really, you know, made a huge contribution to this set. Oh man, Bishop. Oh man, you can't underestimate how high Bishop was at this time. You know, created by obviously Will Spartaccio. So yeah, so beyond that, let's actually talk about, you know, the set itself, man. The actual company that made it. As you can see here on the box, the set was produced and distributed by Impel Marketing. Impel was a card company. I think they didn't do sports cards, but they had their fingers in, you know, some other like trading cards and things at the time, you know. And so I'm sure this was a huge hit for them. I'm not sure if they did the Marvel cards. I think that might have been Skybox. But like the first couple of series of Marvel Universe cards that came out prior to, you know, these X-Men cards, I'm trying to think if Impel did those. I'm not sure. I don't think so. But yeah, but Impel definitely was you know, key in getting these cards out there, you know. And let's see, I think I got some of the wrappers saved. Yeah. And so you get the box if you bought a pack, and you know the packs came in two colors. You know, this teal blue, and this purple, right? Like everything is just so primary colors. You know, just look at the packaging. You know, just very primary colors. You know, CMYK process colors. And so what's neat is that if you look on the back of them, it also mentions something about not only could you get a free checklist, but a checklist already came with the cards. I don't know. Maybe if you didn't get it immediately out of the packs, I don't know. You can get a free Uncanny X-Men checklist for all the cards. And then you could also get a collector's album. This is what I was thinking of. Apparently, for $19.95, you can get a collector's album for the Uncanny X-Men trading cards. And it included 9 collecting pages. So basically, they would send you the album, and there were enough pages in there for you to put all 105, if you count the hologram cards, inside of this binder once you got it, if you were able to collect them. And the other neat thing about these is that inside the pack here, a big feature of those trading cards back then, especially the Marvel Universe cards, is that they would have like rankings. You can see here inside the pack, when you open the pack, they have a little thing about rankings like fighting ability and mental powers and energy levels and everything. Let me see if they have something different inside of this one. Yeah. So in here you have energy, projection, mental powers, fighting ability. So that's cool. And they have like rankings from 1 through. Oh, so if you open the pack even more, hate to rip these packets open more than they already have. They also have rankings down in the cut here. Intelligence and other things. Okay, cool. So when you got these cards, it was a complete package. From inside and out. It was quite an experience. And then the box itself, this Magneto actually pops open, and I've never popped it open. I'm kind of hesitant to do so, to break this, but for you guys, I will. Let's see what we got here. Okay, easy does it. Oh, you hate to hear that. Just paper tearing. Let's see what it looks like when we pop this. Okay, so this is what it looks like if you fold the thing up. Okay, so ostensibly that's what it would look like. If you go to the baseball card shop or wherever you purchased these X-Men cards, the top folds in, and that would be the display, this Magneto coming at you. And I think there was another version of these boxes, obviously, I want to say, because I would imagine that you would have maybe a villain like Magneto, but possibly you would have another one like Wolverine, a different colored box, and Wolverine would be here instead, So there's that. All right. And then to top everything off, I wanted to talk about the last parts of these cards, which is the checklist. Well, I'm sorry, not the checklist. The subsets of these, and the subsets are the Danger Room cards and the holograms. All right, so let me talk about the Danger Room first. Now, as I was saying earlier, I recall getting one of the Danger Room cards, when I was trading with my friend back in middle school for the X-Men cards. And I'm trying to think of which one I got. It might have been a Colossus, I think. And then I never got any of the others until now, when I got this box. So let me make sure that this is in frame here. So it's 9 cards. There we go. And they assemble to form a picture, a complete scene, if you will, within the Danger Room. There we go. All right. Here is the complete 9-card Danger Room subset. So you got Nightcrawler, Archangel, Storm, Gambit, Wolverine, Shatterstar, Colossus, Cable, and Cyclops. And then obviously Professor Xavier just checking out the scene up here in the cut. All right, so that's the full set right here. And you can obviously tell that Lee was drawing these. He drew these such that I'm sure he drew them on one board, okay? And then he had it divided off. You know, he knew that this card, this is going to be this card, and what have you. So that's almost like why, you know, each one is centered. Each character is centered, you know, in their particular card, just kind of floating, if you will. You know, because there's really no other reason for them to just be floating. But, you know, Lee also put elements that cross over to another card, like Archangel's wings, these little doodads here, the robots themselves, you know, they're getting demolished. They bleed onto other cards to enhance that connectability, so that it just doesn't look like the characters are just floating freely for no reason, you know, on these cards. You know what I mean? But yeah, these are fantastic. And Lee also drew the backs of these, I believe, also on the same board. Not the same board that he drew the fronts of these, but I believe he drew these all together as well. These back profile shots, you know. Yeah. And look how well designed these cards are even on the back. You know, look how well they connect. You know, these horizontal, you know, bars, you know, everything. You know, like they just very, very nice production on these. You know, which is remarkable for the period, because, you know, a lot of trading cards, you know, at that time were just kind of like, just get it done, slam bam, thank you ma'am, you know, get it out to the stores, the kids will eat it up, you know, which we did. All right, and so finally, I wanted to talk about the last set that's represented, these holograms. Now, I'm not sure how well these will reflect on camera, but you know, it's 5 cards. You have a Wolverine, a Cable, a Gambit, a Magneto, and a team shot of the X-Men, you know, themselves charging at you. And so I saw the original art for these hologram cards, and Lee did draw these, you know, and pick one up here. Lee did draw these, and they went through that hologram process, you know, and looking at it, you know, generally the thing about holograms, and you can kind of see it here in person. I don't know how well that's going to show on camera, but you know, the thing with holograms is that, you know, you isolate, you know, the parts that you want to be in the foreground, and what you want to be in the background is kind of blurred or, you know, pushed to the back, you know. And so ostensibly, you know, Lee drew the full scene, you know, that he wanted on the board, you know. And so when it got to the hologram making process, you know, the hologram producer would select, okay, well, I want this Wolverine figure and this thing he's chopping through to be in the foreground, and I want to push the rest of this to the back to enhance that 3D dimensionality to the whole thing, you know. And like I said, at the time, you know, this stuff was so cool. Now I'm sure to many people looking back, oh how quaint, you know, holograms, shiny things. But you have to remember, when we were kids, at least when I was a kid, you know, holograms were the thing. You know, holograms were everywhere. You know, and you would see them on other trading cards. You would see them on there were holograms on certain kids' sneakers. There were holograms, you know, on the front of comic books, you know, that would make you buy them, you know, along with, like, you know, foil, you know, embossed foil and things like that. Just stuff that catch your eye, and it just seemed like so, you know, state of the art, if you will. So, you know, this stuff was very, very cool. But yeah, you know, these 5 hologram cards round out the Jim Lee X-Men card set. And so that is that. Now, what I was hoping, though, I see on the front here, it actually has, says randomly packed, there are gold foil holograms. I think are these gold foil? I don't know if these are the gold foil ones. These might have been. You know what I'm saying? Because these are actually the only 5 that I got out of this box, out of this whole box. But I'm trying to remember. I had a good friend that I assembled a set out of this box for. Hey, what's up, George? My friend George is a huge Jim Lee fan of this period, and when I was telling him that, I got a box, an unopened box of the X-Men cards, and just as an aside, I remember sitting there when I got this box of cards, and I sat at my table for like two evenings, in a row, just going through and assembling everything to see exactly how many sets I could make out of this. And oh, it was so much fun. So much fun. Instantly took me back to being like 12 or 13 for those 2 nights. Just sitting there at my kitchen table here in the house and just, going through the cards. So I was able to assemble 2 full sets with some extras left over, as you can see here. And I'm not sure if I think I may have had, a set of these holograms that I sent to George with a full set of the cards. So so George, if you see this, episode, definitely leave a comment in the comments, below. And the same thing for you guys. If you guys have memories of this trading card set, definitely drop those in the comment section below as well. So I think with that, I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to sign off. Even though it would have been cool if there was an autographed card by Jim Lee, in this particular box. But hey, c'est la vie, or should I say, c'est la Lee? Lame. Okay. Anyway, guys, as always, I'm your host, Adrian Johnson, and thanks so much for once again checking out this episode of Blerd It Out. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. And hey, I have a Patreon page. If you're interested in supporting this channel, go to patreon.com/Inazuma Studios. And for just $1 a month, you can keep these videos coming out and coming your way. Okay, I'm out, guys. Peace.